your
But you're not interrupting anything.
Okay.
I'm used to playing in bars. I'm used to people getting in fights, you know.
Throwing balls.
I
You know,
know.
somebody's throwing up in the corner. It's like,
Oh,
it's
my
not a big deal.
Well, we're not quite doing that, but,
You guys,
thank you. Enjoyed it so much.
Thank you for coming.
It's been great. Yes. Thank you.
thank you. I'll be right back.
Well, the cities, they are burning. People marching through the streets. You hear them shouting, Black Lives Matter. Help me, mama, I can't breathe. Final straw with Minnesota over a $20 bill. He had no knife, he had no gun. There was no reason for them to kill. Excuse me, please. I get. Help me, I can't breathe. 16 times is when he cried. That's for water. He called for mama. He begged him, please don't let me die. With his knee on his back, on his legs. I'm screwing this up, and it's too important for me to screw it up. So please, y'all forgive me and let me start this over. I don't sing this song out a lot because it's not a bar song. Every time I sing it, it tears me up inside. Well, the cities, they are burning. The people marching through the streets. You hear them shouting, Black Lives Matter. Help me, mama, I can't breathe. Final straw with Minnesota over a $20 bill. He had no knife, he had no gun. There was no reason for them to kill. help me, I can't breathe. 16 times, that's what he cried. He asked for water, he called for mama. He begged me, please don't let me die. One on his back, one on his legs. One took a knee down on his head. They didn't care, it didn't matter. Another black man soon be dead. Eight minutes, 46 seconds, the time it took for him to die. Another person executed, being black his only crime. It's in the papers, it's on TV, it seems to happen every day. Thoughts and prayers, that shit ain't working. We gotta find another way. New York City, Philadelphia, Minneapolis, Louisville. 400 years, that's long enough. It's time to settle up this bill. Well, the cities, they are burning. People marching through the streets. You hear them shouting, Black Lives Matter. Help me, mama, I can't breathe. You hear them shouting, Black Lives Matter. Help me, mama, I can't breathe. You hear them shouting, Black Lives Matter. Help me, mama, I can't breathe.
Yeah, that's the song that got you here.
Yeah, that's the song that chokes me up every time I play it because I don't know what to do afterwards. I had somebody tell me that they didn't think there was that I should be singing about this. This wasn't my thing to sing about. That a person of color should be singing about this injustice. I'm like going, dude, my audience is old fat people like me, who grew up in the era that I grew up in. They need to hear this shit too. I'm an unwilling, accidental racist. I don't know any other way to put it than that. The way I was raised up and the things I was taught, I didn't realize they were wrong until I got older. And every once in a while I'll catch a little something in there, and I'll wonder where this thought come from. We've had a bunch of discussion upstairs about this in the last 24 hours. About I don't think there's no difference in race. It's a difference in culture. And anybody that's different than me scares me. And so the way that I've always learned how to deal with this, I grew up homophobic because I knew that all gay people wanted to have sex with me. And why wouldn't they? That's but the way a good friend of mine, I didn't even know this guy was gay. He retired from the Navy. He said, "Thank God I can come out of the closet." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "You didn't know it? I'm gay." Everybody in our friend circle knew this guy was gay except me. I was told he was the biggest flaming homosexual in Tidewater. I just didn't see it. We went out to eat after this, and he said, "What's your problem with gay people?" And I'm like, he said, "Do you think every gay guy that meets you wants to have sex with you?" I was 23. Yeah, why wouldn't they? Yeah, they do. And he starts pointing out people in the restaurant. He says, "Do you want to have sex with her? some 80-year-old, 800-pound Italian grandmother with more of a beard than I've got, and I'm like, no. And then he points out somebody else, and every time I say no. And then he said, Jeff, that's what we think about you. You're not that hot. So I spent the next 20 minutes arguing with him that, yes, I am. I am fuckable. And the thing is, he stopped me and he said, I want you to stop and look at this for a minute. You're very homophobic, but now you're trying to convince me that you are a catch. Your fear of rejection is even greater than your fear of gay people. And I'm like, whoa, that's heavy. And so the way I got over my fear of gay people is I moved into the gay district, and I just surrounded myself with gay people because I figured if I had to start interacting with people, then I would get to know people as people instead of knowing people as a stereotype or a culture. And that's the way I've always dealt with anything that scared me like that, is I just jump in the middle of it. I don't know what else to do. That's the way I face my fears. It's the way my father taught me how to swim. Grabbed me and threw my ass in the deep end. It's like he'll either swim or I make another one. So that's kind of the way I do it. It's total immersion. And a lot of this stuff comes from my upbringing. I was raised in the Highland Heights Church of Christ in Lebanon, Tennessee. For every Sunday I was given a long list of reasons of why I was going to hell. And most of the time I hadn't even gotten out of the car yet. It's my Uncle Billy was a deacon, and there were a lot of things I didn't understand about the Church of Christ. The one we went to that I remember from growing up, their interpretation of the Bible was the only correct interpretation. Anybody that didn't go to that church and follow that interpretation was going to hell. We're sorry. My grandmother would not go to the Catholic bazaar because she felt that if she did, she was supporting idolaters, and it would send her to hell, so she wouldn't do that. Then my brother called me one day, and my gay little brother called me up, and I said, where are you at? He said, you're never going to believe this. I said, what are y'all doing? He said, we're in Tunica with Grandma. And they got Grandma in a casino in Tunica. I'm like, how did you do this? Because this is not going to... We told Grandma there was a buffet. That's all it took, told her there was a buffet. We were there, I'm like... some of the things I didn't understand about church was Easter. We would talk for an hour in great gory detail about the crucifixion of the Christ. I call it Jesus Chainsaw Massacre. They would just make it just horrific as they could. Then we'd talk about the resurrection for 10 minutes. Then we'd go outside and hunt Easter eggs. And I'm like, what? I never could figure out how all this went together. There's something wrong here. What did Jesus lay an egg? How's this work? And I would get smacked and told to shut up. I was going to hell. Then I got to think, how many of y'all ever heard of Randy Brooks? Do y'all know who Randy Brooks is? Randy Brooks is the guy that wrote that Christmas classic, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. How many of y'all hate that song?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How many of y'all would like to see that check every year that comes from the royalties on that song? I would,
Yeah.
That's opened a lot of doors for him. And, doors I can't get, that I can't get anybody to respond to. And, the rule is what I was told by somebody a long time ago, you only have to write one good song. You write one to get you paid, and then you can write all the artistic stuff you want to after that. But write the one that gets you paid first. And so I'm thinking, what can I write that would get me paid? And I'm thinking, and the trick is, write a holiday song or a theme song to some sitcom that's going to be in syndication forever. Whoever it was that did the whistling part for the Andy Griffith Show, been getting paid ever since. That show's never gone out of reruns. And I'm like going, I need to get some of this money. Irving Berlin's White Christmas, it just gets played to death. I'm like going, I need a holiday song. Well, there's too many Christmas songs for me to compete with. I can't do that. And so I'm trying to think of what other holidays can I do. And I got to thinking about my childhood, and I got to thinking about Easter, and Easter egg hunt at the Church of Christ. Now that I think about that, that's a song title right there, Easter egg hunt at the Church of Christ. I found Daddy's half pint at the Easter egg church, But, and so I decided I was going to write me a holiday song, an Easter song, and I'm thinking, well, what needs to be in it? Most of my songs are like the Iliad, they're really long. And so, well, you need to talk about Jesus, you need to talk about the Easter Bunny, you know, and you talk about the reason for Easter, and I'm like, okay, I get all this. And it's got to be under 2 minutes, and it's got to have a hook that people remember. That's the key to songwriting. Tom T. Hall told me that. And so I wrote this song. Here comes Peter Cottontail, got him a hammer and some nails. Look out, Jesus, Easter's on its way. That's the entire song. It said everything kind of like sex, get in, get out, apologize, and run away. It's like, but at an early age, I felt the call to preach. But the problem is, I'm a semi-agnostic, snake-handling, Pentecostal Southern Buddhist that says the F word a lot. There's not a lot of churches looking at way like that. And my belief is, regardless of what you believe about the divinity of Christ or where those teachings came from, the words in red are still a good guideline for how to live our lives, because it talks about things like compassion and forgiveness and service to others and all these good things that help people to live together and to do things. And I strongly believe in those. So people ask me, what's my faith? And I said, I'm an agnostic atheist that follows the teachings of Christ. And it blows people's minds. But, you know, there's a whole lot of Christian churches out there that don't follow any of those teachings. And I'm like going, you know, Mr. Joel Osteen is one that makes me think, you know, they're in it for the money. So I was trying to figure out, well, how do I get my message across? I mean, you know, Christ's message was a simple message. You know, it was basically to love everybody. You know, and they would, what about these people? You know, and Christ said love them. You know, he didn't even curse the guys that nailed his ass to a cross. You know, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. That is some forgiveness right there. Because if I had that power, I'm like, get me off this damn cross. You know, I'm going to raise hell. I'm going to ask for lightning bolts or something. I'm going to curse the rest of your bloodline forever. You know, I'm not going to be able to forgive like that. You know, and that's the goal is to try to act more Christ-like in all my daily actions. So I got on the internet when they first invented it, because the reason they invented the internet, they'll tell you that it was a military thing, or that allowed educational facilities to be able to talk to each other and communicate. But the real reason the internet was invented is so that neckbeards who live in their mother's basement can tell people with PhDs that they're wrong about shit they don't know anything about. That's the whole purpose of the internet, is so you can tell somebody you don't know that they're wrong about something you don't know anything about. And people would get on the internet and they'd start talking about how Jesus hates them queers. And I'm like, where'd Jesus say this at? And then there's Jesus hates them immigrants. I'm like, Jesus doesn't hate anybody. Not even you dumbass, you know. Jesus doesn't hate anybody. Jesus had one message, to love everybody and don't be a dick. You know, that was Jesus' message. And you know, and I would tell this. My wife said, you know, you better do something with it, or somebody's going to take that from you, and it's going to be, you're going to see it on a T-shirt everywhere. And now hopefully you can, and you can have your own from upstairs. Feel free. So this is my big hit song.